This episode of Simple Civics Greenville County is brought to you by Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, providing free books to children 0 to 5 throughout Greenville County. To sign up, visit greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks. That's greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks.
With 77,000 students and 12,000 employees, Greenville County Schools relies on community partnerships to ensure that all students have access to extraordinary resources and opportunities, both inside and outside the classroom. But how do you leverage partnerships for measurable outcomes? I'm Catherine Schumacher with Public Education Partners, and on today's episode of Simple Civics EdTalks, I speak with Ann Lee O'Brien, the Coordinator of Community Collaboration for Greenville County Schools, to learn more about how the district builds intentional partnerships with hundreds of businesses and community organizations to positively impact students, teachers, and schools. I'm happy to be here with my friend, Ann Lee O'Brien. Thank you so much for joining me and having a conversation about your really unique and cool role at Greenville County Schools.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for all that you do to highlight education and the importance of community. And I like to joke that I have the most fun job in the district, and it's an amazing role and allows for a lot of flexibility and creativity and support of others.
Public Education Partners, we were founded 40 years ago because the civic leadership in Greenville knew that big school district can't do it alone. And so I think the creation of sort of your role, tell about the history of it, like that really signals how seriously and how much value and weight Greenville County Schools puts on community collaboration and support. So tell us about what you do, sort of the position and when it was started and how it's evolved over the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So this position was started about 9 years ago, and to your point, in the realization that Greenville County Schools cannot do the work that we do alone. We can educate students very, very well, and we do a great job at that. But what we have recognized and what we recognized 9, 10 years ago was the importance of making sure that the community is a part of the piece of the education and reciprocally back that our students and our schools and our families are part of the community as well, but also a very large employer, the importance of making sure that we are an integral part of the community. And so my role really focuses on and looks at the district as a whole, working with the district leadership team, our superintendents, assistant superintendents, really working with them to look at big picture across the district. Where are their gaps? Where are their needs? Where are their opportunities for enrichments for students, for families, for teachers and schools in general? And so how can we work as a collaborative alongside the community to develop processes and integrate the community within the schools and our schools within the community?
Yeah, and really build those connections. We talk all the time about schools sort of being the heartbeat of neighborhoods, and they really do sit inside of communities. So, to that point, scope and scale. If you're a listener to this podcast, you have heard me reference Ann Lee a gazillion times because we work really closely together and we communicate a lot. So, talk about the scope and scale of partnerships and sort of all the different organizations and from a baseline standpoint. And then, what are some of the highest impact initiatives that fall under your umbrella?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say a lot of times that the connection piece is a lot of what I do is serve as a connector, but also that my role is really turning good intentions into real impact for students and schools and families, and all in line with Graduation Plus, which is the district's overarching initiative to ensure that students graduate not just with a high school diploma, but with college and/or career certification. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have partners working alongside us that can provide those opportunities for real-world experiences for students, can reduce any barriers the students' families might be facing. Big picture wise, we have 600 plus
That's crazy.
organizations. It's
a lot.
gigantic.
Yeah.
And
there need to be 9 of you. I always say that the level of what you accomplish given how many partnerships you're trying to kind of organize is really amazing. So,
Yeah. So, while I say 600, it's our schools are amazing and our principals are amazing and the staff within the buildings are amazing and they really recognize the importance as well as opening the doors to the community, but also bringing the students out into the community and providing those real world opportunities. And so really looking at big picture collaborative community partnerships with businesses, corporations, nonprofits, faith-based organizations, higher education, and what can we do working with those organizations. Public education partners is a great example of that. We work very, very closely with you all. As you know, I think we talk almost daily.
yeah, there's a lot of texting, a lot of communication, which is,
Yes.
that's the key to strong collaboration. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. We have, obviously with so many, I couldn't necessarily name them all, but a lot of the big picture work is really looking at across the district and looking at working with Greater Good Greenville and working with the Greenville Drive does a lot with us throughout their season and outside of their season. We're working a lot with USC and Yes Lab and looking at mentors is a
yep.
huge need in the district and working to really understand what's the best way to integrate mentors in a way that is feasible and understandable and fits within capacity for staff within a building
Yeah.
that are very busy, but also makes a real world impact on students. And that project in particular is student mental health, where we work with the chamber a lot on multiple different initiatives. United Way, On Track Greenville, Greenville Federal Credit Union is a huge supporter. So I could probably sit here and spend the next
Yeah.
6 hours naming names of some of the high impact
Right.
pieces
And
that we do.
we've talked about the scan source as one example of, sort of the Rotary. I know that different Rotary clubs are very involved with some of our schools, and Leo Santa is a big one that, we're recording this a little behind the curtain. We're recording in January. So Leo Santa was a huge success this year, getting toys into the hands of families across Greenville County Schools and across Greenville County.
Yeah.
So kudos to you, because
Yeah.
I know you herded that cat
But
a
I mean,
lot.
that's a good example of the reciprocal nature. And so
Yeah.
working with law enforcement to build positive relationships with law enforcement in our community and our students. But our students worked really hard. We had 42 schools that collected toys
Yep.
for our LEO Santa and law enforcement this year. And then on the other side, we had students who were served by LEO Santa. And so
Right.
it's really a good example of how partnerships need to and can work both
Yeah,
ways.
no, that's a great example. So, you talked about mentoring earlier. Where are the biggest opportunities for involvement, and what advice would you give to organizations or individuals that want to get involved? So, talk a little bit about sort of process and best practices.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that I talk to a lot with community partners is understanding, what are they interested in doing? What fits within their scope, whether it be what kind of capacity do they have, what kind of time do they have, what input would they like to make, what matters to them as an organization, and really pairing those two with the needs that we have across the district. And so that's a lot of the connection pieces and juggling that I do, of working, to have an organization that says, we really want to do something. We really want to make an impact, but our district is very large and we're not really sure where to start. And so I work really closely with district leadership, with principals to know where are the needs within the buildings and helping make that connection fit. And so for organizations really wanting to make an impact, the biggest suggestion is to decide what your goals are, what your fit is. Is it big? Is it small?
Is it money? Is it time? Is it, some sort of,
Yes.
training or something like that? Yeah, there's so many different pots.
Yes, absolutely. And and organizations can reach out directly to schools, or if they don't know where to start, they can call me and I can kind of help them navigate what that looks like. I've kind of, over the years, one of the parts of really building the plane while we fly it is working on the processes around community partnerships and what that looks like across the district. This role is unique. There are districts that have community partnership leaders, those sorts of things, but everyone kind of looks a little bit differently.
Yeah.
For us, we really look at, I've kind of put it into different buckets of, is it human capital that organizations can provide, or schools that they need? Do they need volunteers, guest speakers, mentors? Do they need teacher supports? Do they need leadership development? Programmatic, do we need support for career days and having professionals come in and talk with students and share real world life experiences? Do we need academic enrichments that fit with what they're learning in the classroom? Is it field trips? Is it career exposure through CTE or other ways, internships, work-based learning? Is it financial supports? It's not always about financial supports, and sometimes that's what folks think, but grants, but even teacher appreciation. I mean, taking candy bars to teachers
Yeah.
is a huge
I mean,
thing.
that's something, it always amazes me, especially, and we've talked about it before on this podcast, like if you don't have a PTA or you don't have a strong PTA that has a lot of resources and that they're really focused on some things like that, granola bars and coffee sometimes makes a huge difference
It
to
does.
how teachers feel seen and supported. So,
It does, and I know Scansworth and Wendy Thacker talked a lot about that on
yep.
her episode.
Yep.
The other thing too is, you two other buckets that I wanted to mention was in-kind supports. So, donations of equipment, donations of school supply drives, donations of drives for clothing closets, those sorts of things, celebrations, helping us celebrate the good work that's going on across the district.
Yeah.
There are amazing things happening across the district, and recognizing and celebrating those schools. And then, of course, one of the maybe more obvious quick thoughts for folks is basic needs. We have students and families in every single building that needs support around basic needs. Is it food, clothing, shelter, school supplies? Most of our schools have emergency food closets. We have partnerships around providing weekend food backpack
Yep.
programs with Live Well and
Yeah,
those
big
sorts of
shout out to
things.
Live Well
So
Greenville because they serve as the point person coordinating that work and
they do.
food
They
insecurity.
do. So I can kind of help organizations uh, really navigate where within all those buckets of needs and resources that we have. Greenville's an incredibly collaborative community, and really grateful for that about our community, and helping connect all those pieces together is a fun way to spend every day.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you certainly see it. You see it all the time, but in times of crisis, I'm thinking about recent, anxiety about SNAP benefits and
Okay.
how is the community going to support that? And so, all of us kind of in this space, we all sort of tried to leap in and how do we help, and figuring out the best way to do that through the channel of the district is because you have direct access to those students and families, and so it was sort of fascinating to watch that play out. So that's a sort of example of how it's worked recently,
Yes,
which is great.
absolutely. Helene was another
Yeah,
example of
Leaf was also wild. That was quite a time. Yeah. So speaking of sort of small scale and large scale wins, we've talked about a couple of them. What are some of your other favorites? Like, what are some of the things that you do that maybe people don't realize are part of this role that make a difference?
it's there are so many large scale, but also a lot of really small scale pieces, and um there's never a one size fits all, and I think that's the beauty of it, is the ability to have conversations with folks in our community, making sure that the district has a seat at the table within the community is such an integral part of our current uh, community, but also our future community, and
Hmm.
making sure what that looks like. So, looking at large scale, long term, where does the district play a role in making sure that Greenville is what Greenville wants to be? So, I don't know that I can name a favorite because there are just so many and so many organizations that are doing really creative, really cool things. I actually just went to Berea Middle School. We have several schools, but Berea Middle School in particular is supported by the Cliffs.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a group of, neighbors who provide huge support for our schools. And they purchased some Paxton Patterson modules, but they're career exploration models.
Oh, yeah.
And so walking into a classroom with them and seeing some students are over there doing sutures, some students are testing blood pressure, some are cooking pancakes and learning how to do that, some are doing videoing and
Yeah, like video editing.
yeah. So there's all these different modules and that sort of thing. So the sky's the limit, I think. And it just depends on what organizations are interested in really doing and,
Yeah.
and where they want to fit in, what fits in them with the scope of what their passion is and where their passion lies. And we can be creative and we will find a fit.
Find a fit. We know there's, all the big well-known corporate names and partners and all that, but I'm thinking about all of our small businesses and sort of the entrepreneurial spirit behind a lot of our, and it really all of that. There is a role like for students to see that, if it's somebody who maybe, went through CTE, has become, uh, HVAC certified or something, and now they've started a business. And it's even, if they're employing 4 people, like that's a that's an economic boost. But it's small. And hearing the stories from those people. So, I would just echo what you were saying. Like anyone who, if you're in the reach of our voices, and you think that there's something that you can contribute as a mentor or just as like telling your story to students and showing your path, I think there's incredible value in that. And that's something that I think is so important for Graduation Plus and really what we're trying to do, all of us who are supporting the district. How do we improve that? Help kids take advantage of all the great opportunities so that then we see the economic mobility in this community that we need to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that fits really speaks to Graduation Plus as students can't aspire to careers and futures that they've never seen or
Mm,
never heard of. And
yeah.
that's really where Graduation Plus and community partnerships can change that.
Yeah. So, kind of following up on that and to close us out, like, if there's something that you want listeners to take away from our conversation today, what do you want them to keep in mind as, they think about how to support students in schools?
Yeah, so I mean, here's another question that I could talk about for the next 6 hours probably. But I think the big thing is that everyone can make an impact, whether you have students within the district or you don't. But everyone can make an impact. There is space and a role for every organization. There is space and a role for every person to help students and schools and help them feel seen and prepared and ready and supported and vice versa, making sure that the students have the opportunity to be a part of our community as well. And all of that work really ultimately ensures that we are working with students to ready a workforce for the future
Hmm.
and ready a workforce and making a positive impact for Greenville's future because that's what we're working to build
Yeah.
in our students. And so knowing that community collaboration is really about how we as a collective show up together to support students and schools and families across our community is a just a huge piece in all of this, and I want everyone to know that there's a space for everyone and we can be creative to find what that fit really looks like for each and every individual.
No, it's a great note to end on. And I think it's what we say all the time, like the schools matter to everybody because the students in the schools today, like it's our community. It's the future of Greenville. So I think that's a really in our country and, our world. I hate to sound cheesy, but it's true. Like, so I love the work that we get to do at PEP and to support you all and to support Greenville County Schools and to support our educators and families and everything. So Ann Lee O'Brien, thank you. Thank you for the conversation today and
Thank
for
you
all
so
that you
much.
do.
Yes, I always enjoy getting to share the opportunities and, of course, getting to chat with you and all the things that we get to do to make sure that this community is the place that it is and can be.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Simple Civics EdTalks is a joint project of Greater Good Greenville, Greenville First Steps, and Public Education Partners Greenville County.
Hi, Simple Civics Greenville County listeners, Nathaniel here. If you've made it this far, then we think you'll really love our newsletter. Sign up for bonus content, updates, and more right in your inbox. Look for the link in the description that says newsletter to sign up, or visit us at simplecivicsgreenvillecounty.org. Find the link in the menu that says newsletter and sign up there. We'll see you again next week.